I wanted to thank you all for coming out today, and I really appreciate you all being here. Today we're going to talk about leadership. It is a skill that I think is very important. It took me a long time to understand what it takes to be an effective leader. So I hope that throughout this presentation and some of the activities that we're going to do, you grasp a better understanding of what it takes to be an effective leader, and hopefully you learn some new things that maybe you didn't think about, and you can take them and use them in your everyday life. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is motivation. Motivation is something that is extremely important, not only in your life, but in your business life, being an effective leader for your team. And I think you need to be motivated along with your team. And I have seen this a lot when you start a new project. You're enthusiastic, your team is enthusiastic, you're starting something new. And as you kind of dwindle down towards the end of the project, everyone starts to lose that enthusiasm. They're ready to just be done and they're not giving 100%. So making sure that you motivate your team to stay positive throughout the entire project and keep that motivation is going to help the project become successful throughout the entire thing. Along with motivation kind of relates inspiring. So inspiring your team is going to set the direction of your team. It's going to set your vision for the future for your team. And it is very, very important that you keep them inspired so they come to work every day and they come to work happy. Because if they're not happy, it's going to create an aura around the team, creates them not to be happy. You're not going to be happy. So making sure that you are inspiring your team and motivating them, it will provide that direction and set expectations for them that, they might not have had if you didn't have motivation and you weren't inspiring them. So those two kind of play in together, but it is very important to think about those two things, and sometimes we don't. So making sure that you stay motivated and you keep them inspired is going to create a great team for you and then help you become an effective leader. Along with this, another key trait is managing versus leading. This is something that I saw a lot when I was doing a lot of this research, and even in my experience, a manager or a boss is going to say, go do this. Instead of a leader, they're going to say, let's go do this. It's going to be more team focused instead of you focused. So making sure that you're leading instead of managing people is going to help you and is going to create a better response towards a team, because it's not only just you, it's all of you together. So being able to lead versus manage is very, very important. The second most important thing, I think, is going to be able to communicate. Communication is really hard to come by these days, because of social media, because of everything that everyone's wrapped up in the internet. Everyone's wrapped up in messaging instead of calling or speaking to each other face to face. So making sure that you are able to communicate is going to be the most important thing, because if you aren't able to communicate, you're not going to be able to communicate towards your team, and then therefore you are not going to be able to have a team behind you to lead. So communication, we're going to talk about this a little bit more because I think it is the most important aspect of being an effective leader. So I came across an article Forbes did and talked about speaking without a forked tongue. So most people aren't able to open up to those that they don't trust. Most of us don't, right? So being able to create that trust around a team and creating that through, the way you act and the way you think and just the decisions that you guys make together. So being able to have that openness in a team is going to be able to help your team communicate better together. So the next important thing about communication is there's 3 items. So preparing what you're going to communicate towards your team is something that you're going to need to keep an eye on, because you need to think about how you're going to communicate towards them. What's the goal that you're trying to communicate? Plan what you're going to say. Not only plan what you're going to say, but plan who you are talking to. Not everyone communicates the same, so making sure that you talk to someone in the way that they are going to respond better is going to be a key factor. Along with preparing is going to be delivery, how you say things towards your team. So express with conviction, relate your message, make sure that there's a clear action that needs to be taken or what goals are being set. So that is a key part in delivery. And lastly, receiving. Not only are you on the other end of it, you need to be able to take what they're going to say back to you. You're going to need to value their feedback, whether it's negative or positive. So making sure that you are listening to their key messages, and not only listening to that, but just listening to them in general, making sure that, they are able to be heard is going to be an important part. So the next thing we're going to do today, we're going to put this into practice. We're going to see a little bit how communication and listening is going to be effective. So the activity that we're going to do today is one person is going to be blindfolded. They're going to be the listener. So the other person is going to be the communicator. So in front of you, you're going to have a 5-piece puzzle, not very hard, but one of you is going to be blindfolded and that person needs to put the puzzle back together. So you're going to have to trust the other person that isn't blindfolded to communicate how you will put the puzzle back together and where everything needs to go. And no one can touch anything except the person that is being blindfolded. You both are going to do this, so I'm going to give you about 15 minutes so you each have an option to be the communicator or the listener. And then make sure that when you are doing this, you're thinking really about what's going well, what's not going well, and where are we getting stuck. So make sure you're thinking about those things when you're doing the activity, and then we'll come back to it once you guys are done and discuss a little bit. So obviously I would give them about 15 minutes to do that, and then we would come back and discuss. So, and they would really realize that it's not only one person in this. You are a team, whether you're the leader or, you're just a team member, you're all working together. So they would kind of understand a little bit better of that, and hopefully they, took some things away from that they wouldn't have thought about before. So going on to that, it's not only about the leader, it's about your team. You're making sure that you understand that there are other people involved. It's not just you. There are more than one of you. So making sure that you're listening to their ideas and making sure that they feel like their ideas are valued is an important part of being a team. You want to make sure that they can come to you whenever they need to, whether they have a great idea or it's a bad idea. You need to be able to be open-minded to it and make sure that they feel like it's valued. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier when we were talking about, delivering that message and being clear. But be clear in your message. Make sure that you guys are on the same page. It's one of the easiest things that you can do because I've seen this a lot, even in my experience. I think I'm doing one thing and then someone's doing another thing, but we're not on the same page, so it kind of just mashes up together. So making sure that you're clear about your messages and making sure you're clear about the expectations and the goals is going to be a simple thing that is going to help your team be successful and help you be a successful, effective leader. Another thing we talked a little bit about was trust. You're going to need to make sure that your team trusts you because they are going to want to come to you for everything. And you want to make sure that they are, even if it's something little, they trust you. You are the go-to person for that. And that will help you become a stronger leader as long as you guys all have that trust. Lastly, Berkeley had an article that talked about even though you're a leader, you need to be able to respect others. You need to be able to not only respect yourself, but respect everyone that is around you. We always say treat others how you want to be treated. And it is true. You need to respect your team because then they will respect you. And it is a very little thing, but it is something that, we don't always think about. If you are getting negative feedback and it hurts you, which it shouldn't. You should, as an effective leader, you should be able to take negative and positive feedback. But you need to be able to respect what that person is saying and hear them out. So these are just a couple items that I wanted to talk about. Being a team and being cohesive and being one is going to be an important part. So we talked a little bit today about the key traits it takes to be an effective leader, and we talked a little bit about communication, being able to communicate with other people, and building yourself a team that is revolved around trust and cohesiveness and respect is going to be the most important part of being an effective leader. So I hope that you all, learned something new today and learned something that you can see yourself going and applying to your everyday life and applying to your business life so you can be that leader that you strive to be. And so I just wanted to thank you all for coming out today. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you take it and now go use it in your everyday life. Thank you.